All right, so the NBA Finals are officially set to start tomorrow night between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers, if you have not heard. So I thought we'd take one final look at my bracket for this year to make my official finals prediction after the finals are officially set. My original finals matchup prediction was OKC versus Boston. I had OKC winning in 7, but then once the conference finals were set and Boston was knocked out, I remade my predictions for the final 4. And in that, I actually did have OKC versus Indiana in the finals, like it ended up. And my prediction then was OKC in 6. I had OKC beating Minnesota in 6 as well. They ended up doing that in 5. And then I had Indiana taking care of things in New York in 7 games rather than the 6 that it actually took. So, I could just stick to my prediction here. 6 is definitely possible. But after what we've seen in the conference finals, even though I am even more impressed with the Indiana Pacers than I was before the conference finals, I still feel like OKC is just a higher level of team than I was even anticipating with the Nuggets going 7 with them, which, I was saying at the time that it was honestly just an incredible feat for Jokic and the Nuggets to even do that, push that series to 7. And it's kind of cool to see now, everybody else catching up with that take now that we've seen OKC lay the smackdown on the Wolves and honestly every other team that they've faced, not named the Denver Nuggets in the past couple months. But Rick Carlisle has coached a great playoff run, so I don't want to underestimate the Pacers for sure. But just like pure matchup wise, it does feel like it's going to be OKC's series. Halliburton's going to have a really tough time going against just the carousel of backcourt lockdown guys that they have in OKC. Mainly Lou Dort will be probably the guy that gets his assignment in the starting lineup, but then also Alex Caruso coming off the bench and maybe even starting if we see that starting lineup change at all. In the finals, I think Alex Caruso will be the guy that ends up swapping in there for probably Isaiah Hartenstein if they just, rotate things down, shift things down, go a little bit smaller. And in that case, I think Caruso might get the Hallie assignment and then Dort going on either Siakam or Nesmith. But then to put on Siakam, they have Jalen Williams, which, not a terrible matchup for him, for sure. Some people are suggesting Chet. I don't necessarily love that matchup for the Thunder, just because that's asking a lot of Chet to keep up with Siakam in the full court, the way that Siakam loves to leak out for early offense. Chet's probably going to have to just stay above the break on offense as a spacing big at that point. And also, Chet's not the sturdiest of defenders, and Siakam is a very, very physical guy, really puts his weight and strength and, utilizes a lot of the push-offs and just gaining leverage when he's getting into his moves. I think somebody that's more stocky, sturdy, that also has the length required, like a Jalen Williams, is the more obvious option there for Mark Daigneault and the OKC Thunder to put on to Pascal Siakam. And on the Pacers side of things, going the other way around, I think Aaron Nesmith is the best in a vacuum, SGA defender they have on their team. But he's a little hobbled with his ankle injury. And then also couple that with, if you put Nesmith on SGA, then who are you putting on Jalen Williams on the offensive end? And your only option at that point would be, I guess, Siakam. And then you're putting Nembhard on Chet, which just, I don't think that's going to happen. So I think the most obvious lineup or obvious matchups for the Pacers is going to be Andrew Nembhard guarding SGA. So you're putting, not necessarily your ideal defender on SGA so that you still have somebody to put on J-Dub that's out of mismatch. So Nesmith would be guarding J-Dub, and so that just doesn't line up the best way for the Pacers, on top of them just being the, underdog in this series, let's say, as far as talent and everything. OKC is just, one of the best defensive teams of all time this season and having an historic run. And I think that they are one of those all-time teams this year at such a young age. It's just such a rare mixture of things. But I think OKC, this is just their season. So I do feel actually more confident about this one going 5 than I do 6, like I did before. But either way, yeah, I think it's probably going to be 5 or 6. I could see it being a blowout, being a sweep, honestly. I feel like that's in the cards. But I do think that Indiana deserves a lot more respect than that for the run that they've had so far. And I don't think that's the most likely scenario. I think the most likely scenario is Indiana is a competitive out on just about every game that's played this series. And I think they'll even take a game or 2. So that'll be my prediction for that. And so that will make the Oklahoma City Thunder the 2025 World Champions. Shout out Noah Lyles. They've been my pick ever since the beginning of the playoffs, and I believe they were actually my pick in the offseason, I want to say. I don't have that written down anywhere, I don't think. I'd have to go back and listen to podcast episodes from the summer. But I want to say, I think OKC was, if they weren't the one team I picked as my favorite, I had them in the very top tier with Boston and Denver as my big 3 contenders. But yeah, so that'll do it for my predictions. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoy these NBA Finals as much as I do, and I will talk to you guys next video.